everybody, this is Joshua Kirk back with you once again on YouTube. And now it's time for episode 18, I believe, of Album of the Day. And so I haven't done album reviews in a while because I've been, just, taking a break, just basically worrying about, focusing about anything else going on in my life right now. And basically, I just kept, listening to more music and, I kept, having ideas to review a bunch of albums that I listened to, but apparently when I did the reviews, some I didn't really review, even though I planned to, and others, I just had a lot of mistakes for, I tried to do reviews of some of these albums, but apparently when I did it, didn't really have all the energy and enthusiasm I wanted in there, like all of you guys want in my reviews that I put on YouTube. So now hopefully this next one is gonna be, uploadable enough. So hopefully this one's gonna be, good enough and energetic and passionate enough that it can become, uploadable. So I'm going to show you some stuff I'm wearing here. You can't really see much of it in here, but here we stand up. This is my Eric Hutchinson t-shirt. I got it off of Amazon, and I did go see Eric Hutchinson live, I believe in the end of February. I believe it was February 28th, 2013. And he was playing at the University of Maryland, which is in College Park, Maryland. And I also did get to meet him. In fact, we set up a meet and greet. And he's a really nice guy. Of course, he's a pretty cool guy to talk to. And, of course, the show that he put on was... And of course, the show that he put on was great. And we originally wanted to get this shirt at the merch table, but apparently they did not have it in my size, so I ordered it off of Amazon. And anyway, and thanks for a great show, Eric. Definitely would like to see you live again sometime soon. And I also have a couple of tattoos here. That I've never shown you before, because I recently got them at MDA camp from Harley Davidson guys, which provided sidecar rides and stuff, and of course the rides were a blast, just like they always are. They're just a blast, like they always are. This tattoo over here, you may recognize. This is for the hardcore punk band Guns N' Roses. I'm pretty sure you've heard of them. A couple of guns here, and then in between a rose. And then this is an American Eagle tattoo, which is faded out a bit, along with this one, but, oh well, at least they've survived for plenty of days, and, makes sense, really fits, pretty much fits that I got this Eagle tattoo, because, the cabin I was in was called the Eagle Cabin, so pretty much every building, every cabin in any other building, in the camp, was named after some birds, except for the dining hall where I had breakfast and stuff, and the rec hall where I did arts and crafts and a bunch of the evening activities, which were pretty fun. So I had a lot of fun there at that camp. Anyway, aside from all that, we're gonna get on to the review here. So once again, I'm sort of going back to a throwback review here. I love the idea of a throwback review because it's sort of you're an album reviewer that reviews anything you've heard that's new, what you thought of it. But what's also cool about album reviews is that the throwback ones just sort of, give people the answers. There may be a lot of people asking you, hey, what are your favorite albums to listen to of all time? That's what I love about them, because you get to share with them, your favorite albums of all time that aren't necessarily new, but yet they definitely are true classics for sure. So, I'm here to review an album that I'm pretty sure all you Foo Fighters fans are going to be thrilled to see me review this. That I'm going to review. An instant classic by the Foo Fighters, very easily their best album. This is the Foo Fighters' 1997 album, The Color and the Shape. This is Foo Fighters' second album, and their first is like a full band. After the first Foo Fighters record was more of a Dave Grohl solo project after, Nirvana broke up, like after Kurt Cobain died. After Kurt Cobain died in 1994, Dave Grohl needed to do another thing, so he ended up, putting it under Foo Fighters and, basically, recording everything on there himself, like the drums, the bass line, the guitars, and all the vocals on there. On the first Foo Fighters album, which very easily the Foo Fighters exploded on the music scene with that album. And then, eventually they became a full band on the tours back in 1995 and 1996, which the old lineup had Dave Grohl, of course, Pat Smear, who played rhythm guitar, Nate Mendel, who played bass, and William Goldsmith, who played drums. William Goldsmith left the band, and Dave Grohl played the drums on this album himself because Dave just sort of felt William Goldsmith wasn't really good enough of a drummer. Not that he didn't like having William Goldsmith in the band. Just he needed a better, more energetic, just a louder, heavier drummer. So they brought in Taylor Hawkins in there, which of course is an amazing drummer, in my opinion. Even though Dave Grohl's drumming, can be pretty hard to beat. I think definitely one of the reasons that this is like my favorite Foo Fighters album is because Dave Grohl played the drums on here himself, I believe. And by the way, the album was released in 1997, but that version's out of print now. In fact, this is Foo Fighters. This is the remastered deluxe edition of The Color and the Shape, released in 2007. Besides, I didn't really know about the band until 2008, when pretty much the first thing I heard from them was a stellar live DVD called Everywhere But Home, which basically contained performances from the 1x1 tour, which of course was very huge, and it was pretty much the first, official tour that had Chris Shiflett playing the lead guitar now. And Pat Smear has now rejoined the band for their most recent album, Wasting Lights, and now Foo Fighters sort of feels like a full band. So Foo Fighters, they've been providing us with awesome music since 1995, I believe, because it started out more of a project in 1994 and then became a full band in 1995 when the debut album came out, the self-titled debut came out. Anyway, here's the cover. Spine is the back. The songs on here are Doll, Monkey Wrench, Hey Johnny, Park, My Poor Brain, Wind Up, Up in Arms, My Hero, See You, Enough Space, February Stars, Everlong, Walking After You, and New Way Home. This is produced by Gil Norton, who's been, a producer for the band for a pretty long time. And since this is a deluxe edition, it has 6 bonus tracks on it, which are Requiem, Drive Me Wild, Down in the Park, Baker Street, Dear Lover, and a title track, The Color and the Shape, which wasn't on the original album, but is on this deluxe edition, for anybody who's looking for that song. And about 80% of the bonus tracks are covers, 4 out of the 6 are covers, while the last 2, Dear Lover and the title track, The Color and the Shape, are original Foo Fighters tracks. Even though when Foo Fighters did those covers, they sounded like Foo Fighters originals. Released on Roswell Records, RCA, and RCA Records, which have been, Foo Fighters record labels pretty much their whole career and legacy. Yeah, I really like the artwork on this album. Probably some of the most, genius, like some of the most unique artwork I've seen in a while. There's more artwork, and there's the disc itself, and a picture here seems to be all the Foo Fighters there. And then there's a booklet in here. Sorry, it's kind of old and wrinkly because I've had it for a while, but, CD still works just fine. Still sounds, just as good as it was, several years ago. Basically, just sounds as good as it was, several years ago when I bought it. There's the track listing. There's some lyrics. The lyrics are really cool. Apparently, a lot of Foo Fighters albums don't really have the lyrics in them, but oh well, as long as the music's good, it's fine, because, in fact, these guys have provided us with awesome music for a long time, since about 1995. Or 1994, I should say. There's more lyrics, there's pictures of some of the members, which seems to be Taylor Hawkins, Dave Grohl, Pat Smear, and Nate Mendel. And there are basically some notes about the recording of the album. Haven't fully read them yet, but I've read some of it. I think what I've read is pretty interesting. And more footage of the band. That picture looks like that picture probably has William Goldsmith, their old drummer, on it. It seems like, since he's been their drummer for a couple of years, and then replaced by Taylor Hawkins. Of course, Dave played the drums on here himself because he needed a better drummer in the band. Not that he didn't appreciate William Goldsmith's place in the band. There's Dave, Nate, and Pat. Then there's the rest of the notes, and over here there's the liner notes for the full record. The members of Foo Fighters, the production, the recording, the mixing, the thank yous, basically everything you need to know. And, liner notes for the bonus tracks. And Taylor Hawkins actually played, Dave Grohl played the drums on here himself, but William Goldsmith did play drums on a couple of tracks. And Taylor Hawkins does play drums on about, half of the bonus tracks, while Dave Grohl played drums on, Dave Grohl played drums on, the second half, the other half of the bonus tracks. Alright. Yeah, I've shown the booklet, so it'll be fine. Alright, so let's talk about the music on here. There's definitely a lot of true instant classics, a lot of true instant classic singles from Foo Fighters on this album that pretty much need no introduction on here. But I'll just talk about every track by track, because that's how I like to do my reviews. I've seen other people do that, and the way they did it was pretty interesting, so that's why I'm deciding to do that. So it opens with the really short 1.5 minute song Doll, which is a, pretty straightforward, pretty soft rock song, which is basically a song, about basically, fearing that, you're unprepared about something, it's pretty basic what that song is about. We can all relate to that, there's those things that, we're all just scared of, being unprepared for. and I think the song, we can all relate to that. The song Monkey Wrench, right away, goes for, just a straight ahead, in your face, punk rock sort of style that Foo Fighters is definitely known for. And this song needs no introduction, because that song is, just perfect, just the just great guitar riff, just great guitar riffs, and, just very energetic, big, powerful drums, because Dave Grohl is playing them himself. So it definitely is like how he did it in Nirvana. Nirvana. And like lyrically, the song, sort of, talks about how, we just don't want to be, just, the song's about, just trying to prevent ourselves from, like, being innocent. The song Hey Johnny Park is pretty good, too. That song's a lot more straightforward. Definitely, kind of like Monkey Wrench. It's a pretty straightforward rock song. It's just a great little, straightforward punk rock song. And lyrically, that song is about, how just, we definitely all got someone that we love, but yet we know that, we're just watching them, very carefully, and, carefully, like, how, impossible it can be, to just sit and watch their every mood. Like, in the chorus, it sort of, shows that. One of the crazier songs on the album, yet one of the most awesome standout tracks on the album, is a song called My Poor Brain, which, that song has a lot of, crazy things going on with it, with the sonic, technology that they're using. Like, the dynamics in the song are pretty interesting. Like, has this weird, sort of, psychedelic rock intro with this, just wailing, just sort of whining, guitar pedal thing in the background. It sounds to me like a wah-wah pedal or something like that. The dynamics in this song, I think, are pretty much what make this song, one of the most interesting, one of the most standout tracks on the album. Like, on the verses, Dave Grohl sings, in a very, just dreamy Jackson 5-esque voice, like, sounds sort of like, Jackson 5, the, intro, the verses. And then in the chorus, it's like, just like, boom, in your face, punk rock. Like, it just, like, the more the dynamics change, the more interesting and the more, the more awesome the song just sort of gets. Like, the more hardcore it gets. With changing those, soft sort of acoustic and electric guitars to, like, just loud, distorted, just, brutal electric guitars. With, pretty powerful, screaming, screeching vocal performance from Dave Grohl. It's just pretty much, the kind of vocal range that he's known for that, makes the songs, just sort of, like, punk rock and not really anything else. Like, you can't call them a pop band. You can't call them, you can't call them a pop band. You can't call them, like, an indie rock band. They're just straight up, punk rock. Rock. And I love, that, they have that sound. It's just really energetic and just fun to, that's just fun to, just get up and just, bust some dance moves, too. Next is called Wind Up, and, this song, is definitely, another great one, and, has, probably one of the most memorable guitar solos, probably has one of the most memorable guitar solos on the full record. Like, the guitar solo on the song is just, so memorable, and just has, this cool sort of psychedelic thing going on with it because of, like, the tone of the amp or something like that. It's sort of about, I love how the album sort of, Dave Grohl is definitely a great songwriter along with such a talented musician and great singer. His songwriting definitely is pretty personal. Comes from things that he's rough things that he's got to go through in his life. And I feel like some of his songwriting might be best on this album. And My Poor Brain and Wind Up are sort of similar with the lyrical theme, because they start to talk about, just a relationship that's sort of, dysfunctional, and just, we're all hoping that, they never see us wind up. And then there's the song Up in Arms, which is, a basic love song. The dynamics in this song are pretty interesting, although, not as heavy as My Poor Brain, not as experimental as My Poor Brain. It starts out, as, just sort of a slow acoustic and electric sort of song, which has William Goldsmith playing drums on it. And then eventually the dynamics change. Dave Grohl's on the drums, and then it just turns into this this amazing, straightforward punk rock song. And then, of course, there's the instant classic single from Foo Fighters, My Hero. You may notice that, you're really missing out on something if you've never heard, if you're a fan of Foo Fighters, you're really missing out if you haven't heard Monkey Wrench, My Hero, or Everlong, because I have a feeling those songs just sort of define what Foo Fighters are overall. My Hero is just, great rock song that just needs no introduction. An instant classic from Foo Fighters. The song See You is more of, this acoustic pop rock sort of song, which is a song that, of course, none of the Foo Fighters members wanted on the album, but Dave Grohl just had to put it there anyway, because he just sort of felt like he's been getting addicted to that song. It has become his favorite, and it's been something that he wanted to put on the album, so it made sense, they just put it on the album anyway, because, there's no way they couldn't. And besides, this song is, a pretty cool song. It isn't considered a staple for Foo Fighters, but, and while it may not really fit in with the full course of the album, that song is definitely one song that, it's just a fun song to just, bob your head to when you listen to it. The song Enough Space is probably the most psychedelic song in the album. It has a psychedelic, sort of guitar warm-up, in the beginning of it. And another thing in the song that really stuck out to me is, Nate Mendel's, do 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 do. Yeah, that really fuzzy bass line that he has there, that definitely is, probably one of the most memorable bass lines I've ever heard in a Foo Fighters song, in my opinion. And it's sort of something that sounds like, it was inspired by some sci-fi movie or something like that. In fact, I think it actually is. And it sounds like it could be appropriate in some sci-fi movie or something like that. The song February Stars is one of the longer songs in the album, and I love the build-up on this one. It starts out with just, as a pretty, mellow, laid-back, soft sort of track that focuses quite a bit on the lyrics. And then it just builds up into a harder, stronger, louder sort of song, and definitely one of the most memorable Foo Fighters build-ups I've seen. And And I think Dave Grohl's vocal performance at the end, the way the dynamics of it change, really does show how he really is a pro at, just getting all that emotion in there. Then there's the track Everlong, which I can honestly say this. This is my favorite Foo Fighters song of all time. Everlong, literally, this song is just hard to beat. I love a lot of Foo Fighters singles, but of course, nothing will beat Everlong, ever. And it's traditionally their closer live, and the song is just an instant classic that yet again doesn't need an introduction whatsoever. The song Walking After You is probably the most, acoustic-based sort of song on the record. It's definitely a great song that really fits in with the album because, the album is just sort of filled with just loud guitars and big, powerful drums. So you sort of need a softer song, so you sort of need, a breath of fresh air here. That song is definitely, just an emotional, beautiful, just, much-needed breath of fresh air. It's sort of like you're at work and you need to take a breather. Because, the album is pretty intense and loud with the guitars and drums. So you sort of need, a breather here. And it definitely is as, stellar as the rest of the songs on the album. Is as stellar as the rest of the songs on the album. And then the last track is called New Way Home, and this is my favorite song on the album easily, which may surprise a lot of people, because not a lot of Foo Fighters fans have heard of that song, but it's definitely just a great little gem. I thought Everlong was going to be my favorite on the album, because it's my favorite Foo Fighters song, but when I heard New Way Home, I just claimed that it would be my favorite song on the album, and no other song would beat it, not even Everlong. Just the way it builds up, it starts out, first 2 minutes are just, awesome, with just, some great energy to it, and then there's one point where there's one odd moment, this one weird moment in the song where all the instruments drop out, and all you really hear is this little guitar riff with just, Dave Grohl, changing the volume of his voice. And then it builds up, it rises up, it gets more climatic as it goes, and then at the ending, right away, it just explodes and just into this awesome, explosive punk rock song. Which, just Dave Grohl just being all powerful with the vocals, just, trying to be master of the mic, I guess you could say. The mic or something like that. It has, just a memorable little guitar jam at the end. Shows that, Foo Fighters is just sort of, masters of the riff, in my opinion. Even though the bonus tracks on here, I will admit they are really good, but I'm not really too familiar with them, so I'm not really gonna talk about the bonus tracks here. But even though this is the deluxe edition, but I don't care. That's definitely okay, because what I was really here to do was to talk about the original album itself, the 13-track album, which, of course, I couldn't get the original, because, of course, when I got it, it was out of print. Because, of course, when I got this, it was the other version is out of print, so... So overall, I can't say any bad whatsoever of the color. Overall, I can't say any bad things whatsoever about the color and the shape. This album for me, 10 out of 10 stars. Stars, literally, there's not one bad song in here, because it is just easily the best Foo Fighters record. Some of my other favorites include, There's Nothing Left to Lose, In Your Honor, and Wasting Light. Those are like a few other of my favorites, because that's the reason I'm choosing those three and this album, The Color and the Shape here, is my favorites, because I have a feeling those are just some of Foo Fighters' most memorable stuff that they've ever done. So that's what I thought of The Color and the Shape by the Foo Fighters, released in 1997, Foo Fighters' second album. That's what I thought of the album. Let me know what you guys think. Of the album. And there we go. It's going to wrap it up for episode 18 of Album of the Day. And stay tuned for episode 19, which will be here sometime soon.